Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Diana, and today we are talking about The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, episode 3. Renee is back. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hello, I am very good. How about you?
I'm doing amazing. All right, we're going to jump into it because I am dying to know what you thought. So we're going to get to that in just a moment. But first, our question of the day. In this episode, we saw Daryl and company go by a cemetery. And of course, Daryl notices Jim Morrison from The Doors, which was so cool. I love that they put that in there. So it got me to thinking about past bands, rock bands. So our question of the day is, if you could attend any iconic rock concert from the past, who would be the headlining band and why?
So I read that question and it took me 2 seconds to answer because it's Queen, because I never got to see Freddie. I mean, that's Queen is just, they're just all around great rock band, and basically you can find any song to fit any mode with this beat. They have their catalog is enormous, and I just love them. And so, I just wish I could have seen him with Freddie. That's,
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Just so you know, you've already given me the chills of the day. And we'll tally them up. But seriously, that was exactly my choice, was Queen, because of Freddie. And I remember, I used to listen to albums, and I had the albums and I would listen to them and I would just visualize. I think because it's feels like a rock opera in a way. There are songs that I just love them so much. And then I would watch, everybody, TV. We used to watch TV. There used to be those shows where they would showcase different, they would be on different television series, Midnight Special or talk show, whatever it was. And they would be on there and I would just love watching them. And Freddie Mercury, he's just so amazing. So, and then we had talked a little bit about Bohemian Rhapsody just a bit last week. So, it's just perfect for us to pick Queen. There's so many more I could say, but I'm just going to leave it at that.
We could just do a whole podcast about Queen.
Yes. And I even thought we could do a whole podcast about just famous rock band. Yes. So look for that upcoming. We'll figure out a way to work that into to what we do. Seriously, I love that.
Okay, I'm on board.
All right. So friends out there, let us know what you think. We would love to know, if you could pick a rock concert from the past, who would be the headliner and why? You can let us know and reach us on Twitter or Instagram or any of the social media places with Screens in Focus at Screens in Focus. And you can get to our social media links at screensinfocus.com or in our show notes, because we would love to know what band you would pick. All right, Renee, did you have any news to bring up?
It was kind of a quiet. Yeah, I don't think there was much of anything, since last time. So I don't think so.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. I didn't know of anything either. And so I just thought I would check in with you on that. All righty then. Okay. So let's get to episode 3. Paris, c'est toujours Paris, or something like that.
Paris is always Paris.
Paris is always Paris was the name of this episode. So sorry, I'm butchering the name. Everyone who speaks French, I'm so sorry about that. We love this episode. And in this episode, Daryl and the group make their way to Paris, where they stumble upon a cemetery, meet a unique conductor, and end up in this mesmerizing underground haven. And then as the story unfolds, character development evolve, especially between Daryl and Isabelle. Laurent learns about his harrowing birth, and a shocking revelation about his father is revealed. Janae and Cadrone add complexity and danger to the mix. Despite it all, there are still moments of hope and faith and beauty that just keeps us hooked. And, this is just such an intriguing series. What did you think of this episode overall?
So, I've said it before. I'll say it again. This was the series I was, least looking forward to because I just didn't know how this was going to work and I don't know why, because Daryl's my favorite. I should have been on board, but I just really wasn't. And now I just cannot stop watching it. And I just think this one was just so packed full of stuff. And, we learned so much information. It was so exciting to finally arrive in Paris. We've been keep talking about it. We've seen clips of things and we're like, let's get to Paris, And so, that was just so neat. And I just, one of the first thing that really caught me about this episode was in one of the little trailers or teasers for it was when that Fayou says, "You hear that Paris is crying." That line just it was just such a neat thing to see.
Number 2. Chalk in number 2, Renee. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. No, I think all I had. But it was just such a great episode. Again.
I seriously love this series. And each time I sit down on the couch and I'm watching it, I keep thinking, how can I like this more and more? Am I just thinking I do, or is this really doing it for me? It really is. There were just so many details, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more later, but I feel like it's exceeding my expectations. It has exceptional writing, the performances, and just this French setting, all of it. I just am loving it so much, and it's just great. I think it's just great. And I guess one of the news things that we could bring up was how it might have changed or fluctuated, but it had 90% Rotten Tomatoes. It was certified fresh, and that was higher than any of the other Walking Dead, anything. And so that is amazing, and I love it, right?
Yeah, that's impressive.
Very impressive. Okay, so tell me, was there a highlight or something that really stood out to you in this episode?
Well, I have a list as long as my arm, but I'll condense it. So the one thing I'm going to bring up first was Ami. I was so mad when the little girl, I said it last week, I was so angry with her for leaving her.
Yes, yes.
And then after we talked, I remembered seeing a clip of this little kid, and I'm like, no way. Like, it just, it was in a teaser or a trailer or a pic. I don't know where I saw it somewhere of this little girl, it looked like a little person, and everything. And I was like, that is her. And it, totally was. So that just frustrated me, but I know it was a whole thing with her. It just was where her mindset was at that time. And then, whatever. So anyway, that was frustrating for me, but no, I loved, we got to see we finally learned how the Eiffel Tower was damaged. That, Quinn's reveal was crazy. It was like, just so much in that. We'll talk later too about that, but there's just so much there. I just love Daryl and Isabelle. I love their interactions. They're just so good together. And I think I said that last week too, that, they're very similar, despite their differences, they're very similar.
Yes.
And they come from like a traumatic background,
3 fingers, people, just because Renee's doing it to me again. All right. It's just because what you say hits me because I'm feeling it too, and I sense it too, and it just hits my heart. So thank you for voicing that. Keep going.
And then one thing that kind of stood out to me was that was Janae and Cadron's first meeting, because he seems like he's so loyal, which I guess, not all soldiers meet the leader of their, whatever but it was just interesting because this is very different. This is the apocalypse. So you think that they would be like buddies or something, I guess. I don't know. So I was like, oh, he'd never met her before. So, but he was loyal and he was willing to do whatever, Yeah. And I know his brother adds to that, but prior to that, he was even, so I thought that was interesting. And then of course the Walker testing, that was amazing, which we'll touch on more later too. But it was like just cool to see that, we keep hearing about it. And so it was
right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I thought that the details were something that really, stood out to me. Again, that was like over the whole episode. There were just so many details that were taken care of and that were brought up, just like the cemetery that they showed. That I just thought, who thought to put this in here? This is just so perfect. And just everything people said, it was important, all the words that were spoken by everybody. So I think that's why I think that the writing was so exceptional, because all their words were important. And then I started to think, well, maybe that will play a part later on, because why did they say it? And we're going to get into a little bit of that too. But I just thought that the details were something that stood out to me. And also, along with what you said, Daryl and Isabelle, that relationship and that dynamic, it keeps evolving, deepening. I love it. I agree. They are similar, but they are different. But I just, these guys, their conversation in that apartment said so much about both of them. Daryl finding the picture of Quinn and her sharing her kind of story, a little bit about what her past was like. And then Daryl talking about the view and how he didn't have that view. And then she says something about, but you're always thinking. And he says, no, I didn't used to be that way. And then she says the world was broken. And that's basically when we came into our own, right?
Yeah.
That was like, that was so good. So good. And you and I had talked about that previously in the first two episodes. We felt like that. And you had said, this gave them a second chance to be who they are. And it got me to also thinking, and see, I'm already going into a theme, which I shouldn't be going into themes yet. But I mean, isn't it kind of sad in a way? Because all of us here that live here without an apocalypse in our world, why do you need a second lease on life to do what you need? You need to do it now, to not be afraid, to take those chances, to, be who you are. And just, if, just everybody had the ability or the strength or the hindsight, whatever it might be, to help themselves get to that point, that would just be so amazing. But, personally for all of us, it could be that going through COVID could have sparked that for some people. So I don't know. But anyway, so I just think that their relationship is just so amazing to watch unfold for us. And like you said, they have different approaches and they have different perspectives. And that's what gets them in arguments about how to handle Laurent. And it's interesting how much Daryl, he doesn't really intervene, but how much he says of what he feels for Laurent, because he cares about him. But I mean, that's his aunt, basically his mother, that is raising him. So I'm a little bit surprised, not surprised, but wait, can I bring this up to you too? I thought toward the end when they were arguing and he said something to her, and now I can't remember exactly what it was, but I thought he was stepping over the line just a little bit with how he was. Oh, he says, why don't you make something up? You're good at it. And I thought, wow, Daryl. That was kind of crazy that he said that to her, because I thought, is she really making stuff up to, I don't know. That
she's just not being forthcoming, I guess. She's, with Laurent, she's saying all these things and almost, avoiding the answers, actually, I guess, more than really making it up. But, maybe he was just thinking because his birth was so traumatic, and so she hasn't shared all that with him. I mean, he hears him talking, but you know what I mean? Prior to that or whatever, she hadn't told him really anything about, because I think, she didn't, he didn't even know that she was his aunt and all that. There's a lot of stuff like that he should know. So I guess, I don't know.
Some questions, because, okay, so I want to say first that this is his aunt and basically his mother. Really? Yeah. I mean, really, because she raised him. You don't tell your child the worst things that could possibly, that happened to you. I can see you telling them, but not like describing every detail. So I thought okay, so you want to be a child and be told, oh, your mother was a zombie and then she gave birth to you. It was
Yeah.
awful. It was
Mhm.
horrible seeing her. I mean, no, you wouldn't say that
Mhm.
to a child yet. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think she has to hold back on some things. I mean, she
Mhm.
can't lie to him and say, I don't know who your mother is. That
Mhm.
probably would have been wrong. And she didn't, because she took that picture of Lily. So that made me realize that he does know that this is his mom. And then I thought, well, does he know it's his aunt? Because Daryl didn't have a reaction either when she said, this is my sister Lily. And then she gives the picture to Laurent, and then Laurent shows Daryl, and Daryl goes, oh, she's pretty. He doesn't look at her like, wait, this is your sister? So he wasn't surprised either, which I thought was interesting. Like,
Did
how
she
much?
say that at the apartment though?
I don't know exactly. Did she
I was
say
just
this
trying
is
to remember
Laurent's?
if she said that's my sister.
Yeah, she said that.
So then when she would hand the picture, yeah, I guess I'm not real sure, but up until that point, he did not know that though. I mean, I guess I thought he didn't know anything about his mom before that.
That's what I thought. But when she gives him the picture and she says, it's her. And then he looks at it and he smiles at it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't ask any questions like, where'd you get this? Or what? So and then also when they were walking into Paris and she says, oh, your mother went to this high school. So to me, I don't think she hid
so she
exactly who his mother was.
Yeah. Maybe she just didn't tell him that it was her sister. Maybe that was
maybe. Yeah. But again, I thought, Daryl, come on. That was a jab. That was a jab at her.
Yeah.
But I still appreciated their back and forth and their bantry. It just showed that they both were lashing out, but that they still cared about each other. Mm-hmm. And they were still going to help each other. It was just an argument. It was just two friends. Mm-hmm. And it did remind me a little bit of how Daryl and Carol were.
Yeah.
Because there were moments that they didn't agree and they would kind of argue or back away from each other. And so I just really appreciated it.
The other part when they were talking and she's right after they talked to Quinn and she's really, just giving Daryl like a hard time and saying all this stuff. And he's like, that's fine. You can be mad. Cause I know you're not really mad. I'm not really the cause of this. So he knew, like she's taking it out on him, but that was not why, she wasn't mad at him.
Yes.
He was just a punching bag. So
yeah. Love that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So many revelations and so many surprises in this episode. So what surprised you the most?
So I had two things that were my, big surprises. Was first of all, the conductor, for Pete's sake, what was going up with that guy? That was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you're obviously crazy and you might as well do something with that, right? I got all this time on my hands. I just thought that was, whoever thought that up, bravo, because that was genius.
That scene, those walkers, that was crazy looking.
I know. And I was like, I just want to know who, within the Daryl Dixon series, who came up with that idea? Was, did Greg Nicotero or his team, somebody in his team figure that out? Or was this just, I don't know, but that was amazing. I just thought
it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, you're like, whoa. Yeah, it was so amazing.
And Daryl's just like, yep, this guy, he's lost it,
Yeah, this route was stupid or something, or a mistake.
This detour was something. Yeah, so he's done with it. Yeah, but that was him. So, anyways, I thought that was, it was very surprising and it was very just totally unexpected. So that was pretty cool. And then, there were so many surprises, but one, the walker testing, it was really good to see that finally, because we'd heard about it. Like, what is it? What are they doing? And you keep thinking they've got to be, trying to, get a cure or figure out a cure or something.
Yeah.
That's not what they're doing at all. They're, trying to weaponize these things or something. And that was crazy. I mean, they gave him that shot and that thing started going nuts.
Yeah.
And then blood just started squirting out of his head or whatever. And so, that was shocking to see how they're doing it. And, but it was really cool to, finally see what they're doing.
It was. Oh, those were two really, really great moments. Yeah. I'm trying to think that conductor. It was very bizarre, but it was very, very well done. And yeah, and I thought it was really scary with the walkers being tested, the intensity level of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the biggest surprise for me was finding out that Quinn was Laurent's dad, that Isabelle found out. I thought, what a way to find out that your sister and your boyfriend slept together and then she gets pregnant and has this baby. Oh my gosh. A little tiny bit of a letdown that's his father for me. I thought, I think it's great. And but I'm thinking I wanted his father to be something more majestic in a way, just because of his abilities.
But I also thought it explains a lot. Like, if you look back to that flashback when Quinn was ready to leave her, he heard that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
He knows that's his baby and he was going to leave her.
Yeah. He goes, I chose you.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's, it's a good thing that, Isabelle took off,
Yeah.
because, but it just goes to show what his character that he is now in the apocalypse. I don't think it was a lot different and not in the apocalypse. I think it was very, he was just a creep,
Also, it answers the question as to why Lily was afraid to tell Isabelle. Yeah. Because I kept thinking, why is she afraid to tell her? Is she going to feel judged by her? Mm-hmm. But no, it's because
don't want to tell you the rest.
I slept with your boyfriend. Now I'm pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was so shocked. And the way he said it to her, just so, oh my gosh.
Just a matter of fact, like it was no big deal. Like, oh yeah, it happened, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. He's actually a good jerk.
He's doing a very good job.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job about that.
Well, the casting for we didn't know what to expect with the majority of these people because we haven't seen them, like the guy who plays Quinn, he's been in, of course I wrote the article and I wrote down what he's been in, but my brain has lost. He was in Chernobyl. That's a series by
HBO or something.
Yeah, like the guy that did Last of Us did that series as well, and he's in that one. And I guess I've heard a lot. Like he's got a big fan base from that character. And things.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but besides him, I mean, like the other ones we really didn't know who these people, these actors were. Like, I guess the Isabelle, the gal who plays Isabelle, was in Harry Potter, but I didn't pay attention. I mean, I was like, yeah, that kind of thing. So but so it's really cool to see how well these people are portraying these characters, and they, they're just doing fabulous, and it's just so exciting.
It is. Oh man, they are really good. Okay, so there are a lot of themes in this. A lot of themes because there are so many details and so much happening. There were a lot of themes. So I'm just going to mention a few and you let me know if any of these stand out to you or anything else that you want to bring up. So we saw, of course, art and culture in this episode. We saw belief and hope. We saw the character development and the relationships that we kind of already touched upon, and then danger and fear. So do any of those stand out to you?
The culture one, I'm going to go back to, the whole Jim Morrison's grave, because I just thought that was just so clever to put that in there and to use the French cover of People Are Strange. That's the Doors song.
Yes.
And I love that song. It's in the Lost Boys soundtrack, and that's one of my favorite songs.
Number 4. Sorry. I keep interrupting you, but
that's fine. But I just thought it was so cool. That song, as soon as you hear the first, 2 notes of that song, what song it is. And then to have it be, have it in French was fitting for the series or, everything. And then for Daryl to look over and be like, hey, this Jim Morrison,
Yes.
And so it was really interesting. And I just thought it was it was just clever to put that in there just as a, oh, look, there it is, and walked on. It wasn't, like a plot point. It wasn't, it was just mentioning in conversation, because Laurent had been talking about a poet or something, and he was saying about his whatever. And
Yes.
So it was just like casual conversation. Oh, and there's so-and-so, and because I did some research in that cemetery, it does have several notable people buried there. And so it was kind of interesting. But anyways, I thought that was, really cool. And, just a little culture moment, I guess, or pop culture moment.
Yeah, there was so much. I can't, like you said, there's just so much here, there, because that was kind of a highlight to me. I don't know why. It was just a little piece, but I just thought it was brilliant, like you said. And just the song coming on and all of that, just all of it. Of course, like you, it reminded me of the Lost Boys. It was the first thing that popped into my head. And it was so good. And also I did appreciate Laurent in this particular portion too, just how he was talking about the story of a man, something about like a man wanted to die. And then when he was going to die, he decided he really didn't want to die and was asking for help in getting through what he needed to get through. And story is about fortitude. And so when Laurent said that, I don't know, just about the way French people speak, sometimes when they say a word, it sounds so much better than when we Americans say the word. And I just thought that this actor I just feel like he's so gifted as an actor. Yeah. A maturity about him. It's just, and we also see him later on when he's at the nightclub, and the way he held himself there also, I just felt like I saw a maturity about him there also, which we're going to get into Laurent in just a second. But in speaking about the art and the culture and the symbolism, I did want to bring up how we saw art, the water lilies, that painting that Isabelle was admiring, and how it played sort of a significant role in how she felt. And that Daryl even said it reminds me of home, which I found interesting too. And then just all of the music that was played, even with the conductor playing the music, we see it throughout. He mentions a bunch of people, just like Laurent mentions a bunch of people that I'm not aware of, but I'm sure there's such great artists and musicians and such. So I just, I love how they incorporated that into this. And again, now the underground nightclub, that was like, whoa, that was actually surprising. That was probably one of the surprises that I should have said struck me, because here you're going through the catacombs, right? Yes. And you don't know where you're going. And then it opens up to this, which is just,
when I typed it in, I said it was such an unapocalyptical thing to see.
Yes, exactly. Which is the title, right? Paris will be Paris. Is that correct? Yeah. Right? Because that's what's happening here.
That's what they're doing.
And then, just the way that people were dressed and the way they were dancing and the Cirque du Soleil feeling of it all. It was, how did you put all this into this episode and in the series? Even as they were approaching Paris, I thought to myself, is this a real place, or did they build it up to be Paris in an apocalypse? I was really curious about that. And even going into where the conductor was looking at the curtains and the instruments and the stage, all of that, there's so much to see here. It's like walking into a candy store, your eyes there and this nightclub. You just don't know where to look because there's so much to see.
Yeah.
And we already talked about the relationships and the character development between Isabelle and Daryl, but I think the one other thing that I wanted to mention about Daryl developing as a character, when he sees the picture of Quinn and her, and she's saying, well, that was a different time. And then Daryl humorously says, in a way, oh, you're trading up to God, I mean. And so it was funny, but it was interesting too, because just that it, came to his mind in that sense. And then we were talking about Laurent, and just with his ability to bring hope and faith to this, the group. What's the group? Are they called something? Did you say this group?
Yeah. Like the nuns and that, they're called the Union of Hope.
Union of Hope, but
Mhm.
what's his name? Is it Falu? What's his name?
I think he's
Fayu?
part of them. I believe. I
Okay.
guess I didn't hear a different name for him.
Okay.
Because they're all tight. The nest is like the
Oh, the
place.
nest. That's right.
So
The
that's where they're
nest. Yeah.
going. Yeah. So maybe
Yeah.
So that's actually the place. And there was, like they said something else about this was from the nest or something. You know what I mean? Like, so the nest is like a hub of some sort where they're doing, they do a lot of things there, I guess. That's where they're trying to get Laurent to be safe.
So are they not at the nest yet?
Mm-mm. No, the nest.
Oh.
The way I understood it, it's not in Paris because they said something about when. Oh, I know. And then he's like going to bed, and Sylvie's with him, and he says, "What it's going to be like when we get to the nest?"
Oh,
that's
right.
Because I wasn't sure either.
Right.
It didn't really say, but at the same time, it didn't. It was like pretty small because he said we only had like 64 people because a baby was just born.
Right.
And I think. So I thought, wow, that's not very big. And then when he said that, I'm like, aha, they're not at the nest yet. So it's still farther on, but I don't know how. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the map looked like they stopped in Paris, but maybe it's just on the outskirts or something, but I don't know for sure. So.
Okay. And that would make sense why you wouldn't have it there either, right? In the middle of Paris. But
yeah, back to Laurent's abilities. It was so cool to see him with that lady.
Yes.
And I like how Daryl is really paying attention, whether he's because he still says things like, that's what you guys believe or whatever, but he is watching and seeing these things that are happening with this child. And he said at one point too, there's a lot for a child to bear, kind of thing.
Yes.
But at the same time, he's paying attention to what's happening. So
yeah, I love that moment with Laurent and that woman. I just thought it felt so special, that just that faith. It was a really cool moment. I did really enjoy that moment and what he's able to bring people. I don't know if this is the right time to say this part, but it just got me to thinking when Daryl and Isabelle were arguing and Daryl was saying, is this really so, or is it just what you want to believe? And she says, basically, like, he doesn't believe, Daryl doesn't. So it was kind of interesting to hear them say that. But it's, if you don't believe and you don't have hope, I mean, look what believing and hope can do for you. Look what it did to this woman, whether it's true or not true, people feel better. She said she feels loved, or she felt the love, and it brought her out of this depression that she was in. So whether he has that in him, let's hope he does, because we want him to make everybody feel like that. And if he doesn't, and people just believe it, then why not? Why not?
At the beginning, that reminds me of what Isabelle said to Daryl about taking Laurent where he needs to go. And she's like, if I'm wrong, then you're not out anything. But why not bet on hope instead?
Exactly.
And a lot of times that is, like you said, can inspire someone, or it can just having, just the thought of that can have, a different effect on them than, just sitting there and dwelling on whatever's going on in their lives,
Right.
Okay, I've got this little spark of hope. And so if that's what it takes, then fine.
Yes, exactly. Well, we're kind of going into the believe and the hope. And I did also want to mention another really special moment was when they were at the cemetery. And Laurent tells Daryl, "You will not die in Paris." Oh my gosh. I took that. That is proof. That is proof, Daryl.
He keeps saying the things. You're like, okay, who's feeding this to this kid? How does he, So that was very interesting.
Gut, he's saying it. It's true. We're taking it as fact here. So I thought that was such a good moment. So, and also we had talked, one of the themes is a little bit of danger and fear. So we had talked about the experiments, which really brings a lot of fear to me. I'm thinking, something always happens. Like, I thought to myself, when that walker got loose and hit the wall, what if that wall wasn't there? Or what if the glass wasn't strong enough? What if it got out? Come on, people. This always happens. This happens in Jurassic Park. It happens in all kinds of things.
Seen this movie.
Happened before, people. Come on. Things get out. Things are meant to be. Things evolve a different way. You think because you're scientists or doctors, let's put this and this will happen. No, different things happen, and it just grows, or it morphs, or it's just human nature or whatever it might be. And so it's very, very scary to me. That is scary. The other moment that scared me was the walkers falling from the building onto where Daryl and Isabelle were trying to get out of by her apartment. When they fell and got up with broken bones, I felt like I was watching a horror movie where demons were just could get up and do whatever they want. And I think her face was so perfect and revealing because she had this look like, oh my gosh, what am I seeing? Because it wasn't just a regular walker. And then there was just something, I guess, that burners that they are it's just, and I'm glad Daryl could use it to his advantage.
That was cool. Yeah. It's like, well, at least that was a cool way to use him,
Yeah. But even so, I just thought it was pretty scary.
It was. Yeah. And it makes you, like, how did those burner, how did they come to be? Did they mutate on them or their own, or was this part of the experiments? And those got out somehow. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just like you said, it's scary to think about, like, what else can they do with these?
Yeah.
Everybody says, like, in The Walking Dead, the walkers aren't very scary because they're slow and this and that, kind of thing. But they can still be pretty scary. But these that we're seeing now, there's more danger involved. It's not just like, oh, it's going to bite me. Now it's going to burn me.
Yes.
And this guy's getting so strong that, whatever happens with that, eventually they're going to be able to rip my limbs off or something. I don't know.
Right.
So, yeah, it is getting very interesting.
I think, though, that as a regular human, and then that you become a walker, I used to wonder about how easily they could tear somebody apart, because it's hard to do to another human. How do these walkers, I mean, they could bite you, but how is it that they can just be strong enough to rip you apart? I kept thinking that doesn't seem
normal.
If you're, normal, right? As a human going into a walker, you didn't gain strength just by doing that under normal circumstances. Not with what we're seeing now. But so anyway, it just, so it just creates this whole level of horror and fear. All right. So are there any other tidbits or thoughts or predictions that you want to talk about?
Well, you I think you wrote down Cadron and Daryl's fight. So that was good to see. That was interesting to see that. I thought that was really cool just to see the two of them, go at it and stuff, because it's just fun to see that.
Yeah.
But I remember I think it was like one of those character intro videos where the guy who plays Cadron, he was saying that everyone will look at him as a villain, and that I think he says Norman Reedus punches me a lot or something like that. It was so like he said something about that. I forget exactly what he said, but it was pretty humorous, So I was waiting to see when that would be happening. So, but so that was interesting, and we'll see what happens with Daryl. I mean, we see him in the next trailer, and he's walking around, so he obviously didn't die or anything.
He's not going to die in Paris.
Yeah,
Laurent's already said it.
We already told him, so that we knew that wasn't. But what happened? I mean, what happens? Where does he fall into? Because we don't even have buildings on at this point. I don't know how far they ran around up there, and so it'll be interesting to see. But anyways, I thought it was interesting to see the two of them, come to blows.
So I love that part too. I really did. I love the chase, and how Daryl makes that jump, and then Cadron makes the jump, and then just Daryl almost getting him with that knife, and then he doesn't, and then just them rolling around. And I thought to myself, ooh, I'm sure it's really them. Is it them fighting? That must have been hard to do, right? And then you're choking out that guy. And I'm like, oh my God, Daryl's going to kill him. And I was freaking out because I thought, oh, please don't get, beat the shit out of Daryl. Because, in The Walking Dead, Rick was always getting beat up, always. I'm like, how are you always beating up Rick in this episode? It's okay. I'm sorry. This is off on The Walking Dead for a second, but Rick was always getting beat up, right? The governor, different people. But then when he has to fight Tyrese, who is actually bigger than him, he beat him up. It's like so funny to me who they pick can beat up Rick and who can't. Anyway, back to this one. I thinking, please don't get the upper hand on Daryl.
Mhm.
Please don't
Yeah.
hurt him. Don't hurt him. But I really loved seeing Daryl fight in this. It was
Yeah.
great. It was great. It had a tiny little glimmer, reminded me of John Wick for a second.
Yes. No, it reminded me kind of when he fought Beta, because that was like a,
Yeah.
that was huge, I mean, like,
Yes, it was.
Ryan Hurst is enormous compared to Norman Reedus, and so
Yeah.
it was. I kind of had like thoughts of how that fight went,
True. Yes, it was so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that was a really good fight to see, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And I think we might have mentioned everything else already. Oh, Sylvie makes a friend. Sylvie makes a friend. I thought that was kind of nice that they introduced that.
Yeah, because I mean, she's just all around these older nuns all the time, so it's nice that she found someone her age that she can talk to and fun,
and that they dance and he talks about his
cute.
past. I just thought that was really, really sweet. And yeah, you had mentioned the little girl already, and I just wanted to say I thought that was a really sad moment. I wasn't. I didn't know for sure if we'd see her again, but then I thought, why did they highlight her here? So then I thought maybe we will see her, and I'm just, and I had said when we talked about it that I felt really sad because I knew she would die. And she did. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and I think it kind of made me mad and all this, and I know on the other podcast we talked about it, and we talked about just her leaving her, not, because we didn't know what would happen next yet, but we talked about that. And Ryan pointed out my co-host, he pointed out that, it was to kind of show Isabelle's mindset at that time. Yeah. She was very self-centered. I mean, she did care of her sister because that's her sister. Yeah. But like with everybody else, it was kind of like, she's got things going on and whatever. And so it was just to show kind of where she was at that point. And now on the flip side, she's more compassionate. She's taking care of Laurent. So there's just a lot going on. She's in a very different place now. And then she had to confront what she did, that she didn't take care of this little girl, and left her, So, so it had the whole, when you see it all play out, but it still ticked me off that she did it.
To Isabelle's, I guess, defense, she didn't know at that point how bad it was, though. I mean, we know.
Yeah, but she saw on the metro, she saw all these people attacking people, and she's a tiny little girl. She's on a scooter, So I just, but I mean, I get it now, you see the whole thing together, then you're like, all right, they had to show this to prove that,
Right, they did, did.
Yeah, just make her story, have more beef to it, so,
Yeah. You mentioned your podcast. Go ahead and say the name of it so people know.
Oh, it's, Beauty and the Beast. And we go live on YouTube. Usually it's on Wednesday or Thursday nights. I don't know. It depends on what time we can all get together. But
be sure to check Renee out there too. All right.
And then I just saw you wrote the homing pigeons. We didn't mention the homing pigeons. That was hilarious. Daryl is so over all of these people. Yeah. They're closing radios and this doesn't work. And that doesn't, every time he gets to the radio, it doesn't work. And then when he thinks he's finally getting there, it's a stupid pigeon. I was like, oh my gosh. It was so funny.
Daryl, I know. It's so frustrating. But I thought that's ingenious using homing pigeons.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to go back to using a lot of the things that we used to do to communicate, right?
Yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's just not what Daryl was promised.
No,
and
not
his
at
face
all.
Was like, yeah, I'm done with all of you.
Well, after the conductor ripped out the wires to use for his Walker band, his orchestra.
Well, and prior to that, Isabella told him they had one, and then it needs a battery or something. I don't know what, I can't remember at the Abbey. Yes, they had one too, and he was all excited. Oh, I'm going to use this, and we didn't get a new battery, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
he's just cute. So it was just that struck me as humorous. I thought it was a genius way to do it, but it didn't quite work for Daryl.
Exactly. I know.
And we didn't talk about Fayu. I think is hard to say. I just think I'm really interested to see what else he brings. He's in the trailer for the next episode. So I'm excited to see, because he's just like, I love he's so poetic when he talks. Yes, like I mentioned earlier about Paris Cry. That just I don't know why that just sticks with me, but it's just so heartbreaking kind of thing, but I just, so I'm excited to see because their little community is very well ran. And I mean,
Yeah.
they've got a lot of good going on. So I'm excited to see what else he brings to the table in the story.
I was actually looking forward to when he was going to be introduced, and I'm surprised I didn't mention him. So I'm so glad that you're bringing him up. Although they didn't really highlight his role too much here yet, but I think he did help them along the way of knowing connections and such. So
I like to going through the catacombs, and he says, "We've survived many apocalypses. We'll survive this one."
Yes,
I just thought about that.
Love that.
Yeah,
yes,
that
I
was a great
love that line. That was another great line. You're absolutely right. That's what I'm talking about. This writing is so good because we wouldn't have thought about it, because America's so young.
Yeah, and he said that like America's a baby or something. He said, or infant or something. Yeah, So anyway, I just think he's very interesting, and I hope that I hope he has more to the story. And like I said, he is featured in the trailer for the next episode, so I'm excited to see what else he has.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, we are at our segment, and the award goes to. So please tell me, what was your favorite quote, character, or moment?
So I'm doing a quote, and it was one that you mentioned earlier. It's, "Maybe we are the same that way, broken until the world ended." And when she said that like finally put all of my thoughts about these two characters. I like her saying that, like, I've been kind of saying something on the line of that, but it never came out that poetic, of course. Yeah. And so when she said that, I was like, that's what I've been trying to say.
Yes.
So the apocalypse gave both of them the opportunity to break away from their past traumas and those people who kept them from being, fulfilling their full potential. Because both these characters have so much to offer, but Daryl always had Merle dragging him down. She always had Quinn, and now they're free of. Well, she's kind of not free. We'll see what happens there, but you know what I mean. Like, they were able to break away from that and become who they should really be.
Yeah.
And I just love it. Yeah. So when she said that, my brain was like, that is what I've been trying to say.
Yeah.
All these times I've been trying to talk about these two characters. So that's the quote.
I love it. There's so many quotes, and I had a really hard time because I thought, I love that. I love that. I love. There's so many moments, and it's hard to pick just one. And so I'm glad we got to, dig into this whole episode and bring up the things that we did truly love. But I wanted to pick actually Laurent as my favorite, because there were moments that he was just so special to me and the things that he said. But it is the Daryl Dixon show. So I have to say Daryl overall just really is just so amazing. I just love his whole character, how much he has evolved. He's vulnerable, and then he kicks ass. I mean, who doesn't love that? I just do. I love that. And just all the conversations that he has with Isabelle, and how you had mentioned too about how he sees the pressure that's put on Laurent and how bad he feels for him. And he questions it because he does care about kids, and he wants them to be kids and to survive. And he wants the truth to be told to them. And it's funny because that is Daryl's way. That is how Daryl handles kids. But Isabelle has her own way. And I'm not saying one is wrong or one is right. It's just they both have their own way of parenting. And actually, that was another theme, I think, throughout this whole parentage, and we didn't even talk about it. Sorry, I'm bringing this up really quick, but Quinn wants to see, or wants to know and see, Laurent because it's his son. And that is sort of the trigger which made Daryl and Isabelle get into this argument, because Daryl's all, F that. No way.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to be on the ship. I'll just live in Paris or France,
Or he'll figure it out, right?
Yeah,
he'll figure it out.
Right.
He's not going to put what he wants in front of Quinn being a part of this child's life, especially if the way he, has shown himself to Daryl. He's not a good guy. And so, so that whole parentage element was there too, or theme was there too. But the one big thing I wanted to bring up about Daryl, which is also a question, and I think you had mentioned something previously too, but was when the homing pigeons were discussed, and that guy says, "We all have a person who waits for us somewhere." When he said that, Daryl hung his head. Daryl hanging his head and all the moments that he cannot get to that radio and that is killing him. I agree with, I think it was a friend of yours, another podcast group that also said that maybe Carol is on that boat. Mm-hmm. This just like really spotlights to me, something is really up. It's not just he wants to get home. He needs to save somebody or something needs to get done because Daryl is not just about himself. He's not that selfish. It's to save or help somebody else. So all of that just kind of came to me thinking there is something else up, man. There's something as to why he wants that radio.
Yeah.
And it just made me think it could be Carol.
Yeah. And that's a very good possibility. Like you said, I kind of was thinking on those lines a little too, because I was like, he's so adamant about that. You know what I mean? It's like, Carol a lot of times goes with the flow. You know, he just, this is what the next thing we need to do. Oh, here's the next thing we need to do. And he does it because like you said, he helps people. That's what he does. But this seems more urgent. Yeah. Yes. And there's he is. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, I'm sure I would imagine we'll have some sort of cliffhanger because they started filming almost immediately. So, you know what I mean? Like they had all this planned. So I feel like we're going to have a significant cliffhanger at the end of this season. And hopefully it doesn't take them too long to get the other one out.
I know. Oh my gosh. Oh, friends out there, we would love to know your favorite moment from this episode. Please share it with us and please be sure to join us each week as we dive into each episode of Daryl Dixon because we are really loving all these episodes. All right, Renee, let's segue into our TV and movie recommendations. I would love to know, have you had time to watch anything? I know you are so busy.
Well, we've watched a few more horror movies because that's kind of our thing in September, October. But the one we watched last night was the newer version of The Hitcher.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like the Hitcher. So it's a new one. Yes. And it's Sean Bean is in it, Sophia Bush, and Zachary Knighton is the boy, but I guess I'm not sure what else he's in. But so it's really, they did a very good job. And of course, Sean, I love Sean Bean. I just think he's so good. And, you know, he has such great roles and stuff. And so, so anyways, we did watch that. That's good. But another thing we've been doing is,
Sorry, is that a movie or a TV show?
I'm sorry. The Hitchers. Yeah, it's a movie. It's like from 2007 or something. Yeah, it's older. Yeah, right. But it's really, really good. I mean, like, you know, because I love the first one, you know.
I do too. I love that one.
You know, you always hear a remake, you're like, oh, what are they doing? But they did a good job on it. So I recommend it. Yeah, if you haven't watched it.
I haven't.
So you should check it out. Because it's, you know, it's kind of a horror movie, but it's more of a thriller kind of thing, you know, like a road trip gone wrong kind of thing.
Yes.
So yeah. But the other thing we've been watching is so on Paramount Plus, I believe, I think that's where The Office plays. So The Office, we love The Office, and we've watched it through more times than I should admit, but we have, and that's kind of our background, you know, kind of thing. Well, they have the extended like the super fans episodes.
Oh, wow.
Longer, and they've got more pieces to it. We've been going through those, and it's just, they added so many fun parts to it and that kind of stuff. So that's been fun. I felt like we had watched all they had, and then it seems like they maybe released more of them then. I'm not, you know, I just wasn't aware. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely worth, if you're an Office fan, it's definitely worth watching those. Yeah. Because there's I guess I'm not sure how much more, but there's a significant amount of more, you know, scenes put into it and making some of them even funnier than they already were and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I love it. Oh my goodness. I have to try and check that out. There's so much I want to watch.
I saw you had one, Harlan Coben, that Shelter. We started that, but I don't think we finished it. We liked it, but I'm not sure if we finished it.
Yes, that is one of the shows that I'm watching. It just finished. So yeah, Harlan Coben's Shelter. It's on Prime. And yeah, it just ended. I think it 8 episodes. I'm not really sure how many there were.
Yeah. And one thing I think I didn't know going into it, that it's like a young adult type.
Yes.
From book. I didn't realize that because I thought, well, this is awful. You know, it's just not different than his normal things. And I read something. I'm like, oh, that's why, because it's like a young adult series more than, than it is like his other stuff. So not that that's bad. It was just explains it
different.
Better. It's more of a teenage kind of thing going on, and stuff.
I like it because it's a mystery, and I like it because I thought it was very watchable. I skipped a couple episodes, but then I was able to go back and catch up. And like I said, it just had the last episode last week. And so I was able to watch it all. So yeah.
I bet we watched, and then there were no new ones, and then we forgot about it because that's kind of what we do. So we'll have to go back and finish it.
I think his name is Greenwood. The other actor, his friend, the guy, he was in Metal Lords, which I've talked about before. It's on Netflix. I love that movie. Well, it's the same guy, same kid.
I guess I didn't pay attention. Okay.
Yeah. I recognized him.
Oh, yes. Now that you're saying that, I totally just pictured it. I'm like, yeah, we did. We liked that movie too. That was a good one.
So it's the same actor. And so I noticed him in the first episode. I kept saying, God, he looks familiar. I'm like, I know where I know him from. So I thought it was a very watchable series. It's nothing too bad or too scary, but it, it has some mystery and makes you want to continue watching. So I would recommend that.
And Tova played Deanna Monroe. She's the
yes.
lady. Yeah. I just thought about that. I'm like, oh, that's right. Tova's in that one. So anyway, so there's your Walking Dead connection for it.
Yep, we love that Walking Dead universe connection. Love is Blind season 5 on Netflix is out. Yes, I'm always watching love and reality shows. It's been pretty good. There's a lot of couples there that are pretty iffy though. I don't know where it's going to go. It only gives you so much. Like they only put out so many episodes, and now I got to wait till they drop some more. But it's intriguing to me. And then I just started watching Invasion on Apple TV. This is a sci-fi series, but there is season 2 out currently. But I had started on the first season, so I'm in the midst of it. So, and I'm appreciating it all and liking it. Now, I love The Voice, and it just started for me on Monday, and I love it. Reba is new on there, and Gwen is back. Blake is out. He has retired from The Voice, and Kelly, I guess, is on hiatus for now from it because she's so busy with everything else she does. So, and then Niall Horan and John Legend are there also. So that rounds out the 4 judges, and it just started, and it just puts me in a good mood. I just love watching it. Makes my Monday and Tuesday to know that I have that to watch. So if somebody doesn't watch it, just check it out. You can just tune in anytime, listen to these great singing talents, and also watching the judges fight over who can get them. That's what I love, is watching the judges.
Yeah.
I also watched Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. This is on Prime. I've been waiting for it to stream because it's been quite several months that it's been out. I'm waiting because Jake Gyllenhaal is in it. And this is a war movie. I do watch war movies. They're not always at the top of my list, but then when I end up watching them, I realize how valuable they are because I learned so much about them. And this movie is set against the backdrop of the Afghanistan war, and a local interpreter displays incredible bravery as he undertakes a perilous mission to transport an injured sergeant, who is Jake Gyllenhaal, through this challenging terrain, risking his own life in the process. And it's just really well done. And I love the relationship between Jake Gyllenhaal and this interpreter. It's just... It just shows the bonds that people make, and just it's just really good. And so, if you even remotely like war movies, then I would say please check it out. It's really well done. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of good actors in that too. I just looked it up.
So who else is it? Who plays the interpreter? I'd love to say his name or mention his name.
It's Dar Salim. It's Salim.
He's super good.
Yeah, he's been in several. I mean, I don't think I've watched any of these, but yeah, he's been in several movies. So interesting.
He plays, even though he's an interpreter, he does a lot with his face and the way he emotes things, and he's just really good. He's a really good actor. I'm like, man, you're good. So I really enjoyed it because of him. So yeah.
Perfect.
So check that out if you can.
Yeah, we'll check that out.
Yeah. Okay, Renee, thank you. I want to thank you for joining me. It's always so much fun having you.
Oh, I just love doing it. So thank you for asking.
Well, we'll be here next week to do it again. I can't wait. All right, friends out there, thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us. And we are grateful that you tuned in, and we hope something that we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity or inspiration. Please subscribe to Screens in Focus at screensinfocus.com and tell a friend, because we would love more members of our TV club. You can find our website listed in our show notes, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.